സ്ക്രീൻ കാണുന്നുണ്ടോ? ഒന്ന് പ്രതികരിക്കണേ.
കാണുന്നുണ്ട് സർ.
ഓക്കെ. ബിസ്മില്ലാഹിർ റഹ്മാനിർ റഹീം. അൽഹംദുലില്ലാഹി റബ്ബിൽ ആലമീൻ. വസല്ലല്ലാഹു വസല്ലമ അലാ റസൂലിൽ അമീൻ വഅലാ ആലിഹി വസഹ്ബിഹി വമൻ തബിഅഹും ബിഇഹ്സാനിൻ ഇലാ യൗമിദ്ദീൻ. അമ്മാ ബഅദ്. أيها الطلاب الأعزاء والطالبات المثابرات في هذا المجال، يعني في مجال الترجمة، شكرا لكم جميعا لهذا السعي. إن شاء الله اليوم نحن نتناول عن مجال الترجمة الطبية. എങ്ങനെയാണ് മാസ്റ്ററിങ് മെഡിക്കൽ ട്രാൻസ്ലേഷൻസ്? ഇതിലാരെങ്കിലും മെഡിക്കൽ ഫീൽഡ് പഠിച്ച ആരെങ്കിലും ഉണ്ടോ? അഫ്ര പഠിച്ചിക്കണോ? ആരെങ്കിലും മെഡിക്കൽ ഫീൽഡ് പഠിച്ചവരുണ്ടോ ഇതില്? നമ്മളെ സെഷനിൽ ആശയം പഠിച്ചിണോ? ഇല്ല. ഓക്കെ. അപ്പോ സാറും ഡോക്ടറല്ല, പക്ഷെ ട്രാൻസ്ലേഷൻ പഠിക്കുന്ന ഒരാളെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം മെഡിക്കൽ മേഖല പഠിക്കുക എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് വളരെ പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട കാര്യമാണ്. അപ്പോ എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഓക്കെ ഗസ്റ്റ് അപ്പോ മെഡിക്കൽ ട്രാൻസ്ലേഷൻ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഒരു മിനിറ്റ് കേട്ടോ, ജസ്റ്റ് ചാറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്.
Dr. Fasil, could you hear me?
ഞാൻ ചെയ്തത്.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm very sorry for being late, but I have a problem with my internet connection.
Yeah.
Okay. Could you hear me clearly? My voice is clear?
دقيقة. دقيقة سيدتي.
Take your time.
سيدتي ابدأي المحاضرة إن شاء الله ستظهر العرض.
Okay, everyone, today we are going to talk about the types of translation and overview of it and challenges and also the examples and how we can face this is challenges, forget the answer or solving this challenge. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and when it appears to all of you, just tell me that my screen is appear.
سيدتي دقيقة، عندي مشكلة، دقيقة. السلام عليكم. الآن واضح سيدتي؟
نعم واضح.
نعم، شكرا لك. ابدأي.
Okay, as I said before, we're going to talk today about types of translation and detailed overview. Okay, there are different types of translation. Maybe we are today talking about only 7 of it. Okay, the next slide is talking about the first one of this is translation, and nowadays is the famous one is literary translation. Literary translation is the translation of words like novel, poem, short story, and plays. This is the definition of it. But what are the key features? Okay, in this type of translation, we are focusing about author style, the tone, the culture, because we are just maybe we are translated from Arabic into English and maybe from English into Arabic and different types of translation for a literal translation. Here you are like by yourself and the authors choose that why is write this word by this way and maybe what we what we meaning that in this part and at different forms. For example, maybe he used idioms or metaphors or a word play. In English, all of idioms and metaphors or a word play have a different meaning in Arabic. For example, about idioms, it's a very famous one, trains, cats, and dogs. In English, it seems like usual, but in Arabic, if you translate like a literal translation, you have to just write down the meaning, the real one, and that's related to the culture you translate into. In Arabic, we have a different idiom, have the same meaning. It rains cats and dogs. Maybe this is in Egypt, and maybe in Saudi Arabia have a different one. Maybe in India, maybe in the different cultures of the types of Arabic have a different idioms for just talking about the same thing. So you have to know your audience, what our target audience use and their culture or and their daily life works. Okay, this is about literary translation. So every translation faces challenges. What are the challenges of a literary translation? The challenge is balancing fields to organizing text with a readability in the target language. For example, humor, raisins, or the culture specific reference. Like there is a terms that use from the culture to another one, it's different. For example, maybe in American or in a British culture, have a terms or subject for talking about, or the stories for translate. For example, like Romeo and Juliet. This is a very famous story. But in Arabic, maybe it's not related for all the people about who's Romeo and Juliet. So if you translate this is part of a story or just this is part of example or the simple, you have to describe this for the target audience, and maybe this is target audience is an Arabian one. If your target audience is English audience and you translate from Arabic into English, if you have a story or just a historical character in this literary translation, you have to describe what this is character or what this is part or the term of the story talking about because it's not related for the English audience. Okay, this is about literary translation. For example, about literary translation, the translating Gabriel Gurkel, the book of 100 Readers of Seduction from Spanish into English, and also translating Arabic poetry into English or into French and a different languages, as we said before. So the translation of poetry is a very complex one because in Arabic we have a very rich word and a very rich poem for describe feelings and situation and so on in a different many years or a different terms or long distance of time. In English, is not this is a specific one. They didn't have this complex of the Arabic language because the Arabic language have, as we said before, have a different types for describe just one feeling and a different degrees. Maybe using a word to describe degree and another word for describe something is more deeper than the another one. In English, we didn't have this is the biggest terms or the biggest word for describe just one thing. This is the challenging here in literary translation. We're continue to the next translation, and nowadays we face a lot of translators in this field, and the best is not just have this is a huge of the number in translation of like a legal translation. So the second slide we are talking about legal translation. Okay, as we said before from its name, it's legal translation. Okay, again, I'm sorry. It's about my connection. It's the worst. Okay, we are gonna talk about legal translation again. We said this is about translation of legal documents such as contracts, law, and court. For example, you didn't have to be a lawyer for being a legal translator, but you have to know more about laws and the difference between each type of law. What do you mean by what do you mean by this part of the law, and how we can translate into Arabic or into English from the target language to the source one, or from the source to the target, whatever. Okay, so laws are different from a country to another one. So when you translate a law from English into Arabic, you not just to translate a word into another word, as said before, but when you translate a law into another law, you have to translate it perfectly, by the way, because any mistake in this part of a legal translation, just as I said, it's gonna cost you an arms and leg. That's mean maybe you have a legal or a problem legal that you're gonna face because just a mistake or just a word is gonna be a big problem. Okay, we're talking about the definition of the legal translation. What about the key feature of a legal translation? The legal translation and its key feature, we're talking about the document or the part of the document that is different from country to another one. For example, um, you must be 100% accurate about that you didn't have any errors to lead to a legal consequences. For example, you have a very big knowledge of system and post language that you translate into, or the target or the source one. You have to know a very big knowledge about the materials, about the laws, what this part mean, and the opposite in another language. But here, and as every translation, we have challenges like a different legal system. As we said before, every country has a legal system, and in English we have American English and British one, and also a Canadian English and a different type of English. At the same side, we have also a different types or a different kinds of Arabic. For example, Egyptian one is Saudi Arabia, Yemenian, Algeria, and so on. All of them speak in Arabic, as we said before, Arabian people. So you have to know which system that you translate into or translate from into another one. For example, about common law, civil law, or unique terms. Legal translation didn't have informal translation. It's usually formal one. For example, we have a complex language with no room for interpretation. There is a word that said copy. Copy that's mean in Arabic, نسخة. But when we use copy in legal translation have a different meaning. So maybe related or common words have a meaning in a common language, but in legal translation have a different one. So you have to research about what it means in this type of translation. Okay, we're gonna go for the next slide. A medical translation. A medical translation is a very different and very dangerous field because our souls is gonna be in your hand as a translator. Because you translate medical terms that maybe suffer about a diseases or a treatment received and so on. So you have to be very careful um, about the human lives because you translate a terms and a medical one, and this terms is a very sensitive terms. So you have to research and have a big knowledge about translation in this type and medical terms. It doesn't mean that you have to be a doctor or just to study a medical field. You don't have to do this, but you have to know which terms and which type of this translation talking about. And you have to study like every day or day by day about the new terms, because every day we just saw that the doctors discover a new diseases or a new treatment or a new searches that they search it. So you have to research about every day what this term is meaning. Before translate anything, just check if this translation is related in a medical field like this way or not. And as I said before, there is a terms for medical translation. Don't try to translate by a literal meaning. Maybe just so like it's okay if you translate by the literal meaning, I can understand it, but it's not this work. This translation from a doctor to another one, or from a doctor to the patient. So you have to be careful about the words that you use. Okay, the key feature here is a highly specialized terminology about drugs name, diseases, was most commonly with a medical regulation like FDA, WHO, and as any kind of translation, it's also have challenges. For example, mistakes can have a life's rating or a constant update due to a medical discoveries. For example, translated canonical document from international study, or a summary from Arabic into English or from English into Arabic. Okay, the next slide is about technical translation. Technical translation is a translation of manual engineering document in scientific papers or IT guides. This translation is a very interesting one because uh, we are talking about terms that can cause errors in machine and charts and diagrams step by step to instructions. So it seems like you are a small engineer in this part. You have to know a terms and more information about technical things. And if you are related in this field is gonna be a big opportunity for you because this field is very important nowadays in a big companies like AI companies or companies that work with the technical fields or technical industry. As every type of translation was said before, that it have a challenging. Yeah, see, just wait a minute, guys. Okay, here we go again. We are talking about the challenges before the problem, the challenges in this field, technical translation. It's the terminology and also the meaning part. For example, it's about technology advancement. So you have to know more information every day about technology, new discoveries, and maybe this company is working about terms or this field like electronic one, like AI terms, and so on. And I have to tell you that this field have a very highly salary right now. So maybe it's gonna be a related field or to the person or a translator that search about the field with a highly rate. Okay, so we have to continue to the another slide. Okay, this slide we are talking about business translation. Business translation is, from its name, is we are talking about emails, reports, marketing materials. This translation in a big companies that were was big business deals. For example, you maybe work as translator or an interpreter. So how can I help or just how can I work in this field as a translator and how I can help or just work in this field as interpreter? A translator maybe translate emails, reports, and also marketing materials and documents and so on. But as an interpreter, you're going to be part of the table and business deals and so on. So you have to know, you have to adapt to the target market culture and the business norms. For example, every country, as I said before, have a different culture. And also a business culture is different from a country to another one. And the terms, maybe here in Egypt we use terms, in UK they didn't use, or in America they didn't use, and vice versa. And the challenges here is about creative adaptations and the formal and informal tone. Maybe you face in a business deal or in a mail, formal terms or an informal terms. How we can deal with this? You have to know the structure or the basic of the grammar and how we can use in a formal way and an informal way. Because maybe you just face an informal term in the middle of formal speech or the formal meeting. Maybe sometimes they use it for break the ice or just make a funny situation we're talking about, or just this is a term that we have to use in a formal way. For example, adopting like Coca-Cola for the Mediterranean marks. Because Coca-Cola, as we know before, it's a European company that have a big market in a Mediterranean. And number 6 is AVT. AVT is an abbreviation for audio-visual translation. The translation of films and TV shows, video games, and subtitles. Okay, the next slide, as I said before, AVT is abbreviation for audiovisual translation. It's the translation of film, TV show, video games, and subtitle. This is translation you work on a media. Like you're a translator for a newspaper, for a movie, for video games. And video games translation nowadays is a big industry, especially in Chinese market, Japanese one, and nowadays we can found in the Middle East. And subtitles is, as you say, like YouTube videos and courses videos, you can found like there is a subtitle for a translation for the people that can speak the language or um, of the video that the people talking about. And the key feature here is subtitling, is the text display at the bottom of the screen. So subtitle, as we said, is a branch of AVT, and it's a big industry for translating the video script into another language. And also we have a voiceover. Voiceover is a narrator speak over a regional area. You can feel like there is a cartoon, maybe in Japanese, and they made a voiceover into Arabic by the same tune, by the same terms, but in another language. AVT also have a challenges as any other types of translation, like time constrictions, like subtitles must scan with the speech. You can't write down like subtitle at the bottom of screen before the speaker or just after the speaker. You have to follow the speaker's speech. And also the culture jokes and slangs are difficult to translate because translating a joke is not this simple. Because maybe this joke, if you translate into Arabic, is not gonna become a joke. It's gonna be a strange one. So it's very difficult, and you have to research. You have to research a lot about the opposite in another language for just give the funny situation or the funny feeling to another audience. Okay, we have to continue to another slide. And this is gonna be yeah, a website and software localization. This is a very sensitive one. Maybe you can say it's sensitive than a medical field. Why? Because it's depending all the application or all the website translation is depending on you. So the success or just the raising up for a website or the app depending on translation. So just imagine that there is application and an industry or whatever the industry of this application, the success of this or the raising up depending on you. So you have to be careful with translation, like the language and the culture, and goes beyond translation, adjusts like UI, data format, and must consider SEO, like the keywords in different languages. For example, you have to write the language like Arabic, so you have just to change all the format of the website from right to the left because you are translate from English into Arabic. And if you translate from Arabic into English, it's gonna be from the left to the right, so you have to be careful about these small details. And example for this is localization Amazon's website for the Saudi market. Amazon is a European market or just like you have to translate all the website, all the advertisement to be an Arabic language or the Arabian culture to be related to Saudi Arabia culture. So you have to translate total of it into a daily life words or a daily life language because everyone just visit this website. So it's also depending a mobile game for Latin American users if you translate from Arabic into English. So you have to be careful with games or mobile games about the terms. Maybe in Arabic we say a term, and in American people or just in British people, it's not related for them. So game is gonna just is gonna fail or have a problem with it. And we have to continue for the last slide. We have to continue to the last slide, and we end for today about this lecture. And you are always welcome for ask me any question, whatever the question in today's lecture, or just a general question about translation. And go ahead if you have a question. Guys, if anyone has a question, just raise up your hand and open your microphone and talk to me. It's very simple.
Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Go ahead.
How do cultural aspects influence choice of translation method?
You ask about translation methods, have to be advanced about it.
Yes, can cultural aspects influence in this?
Okay, you have to know which culture you have to translate from into. For example, who's your source audience and who's your target one. You have to research and study. I'm not going to tell you that you have to research a lot and study a lot, but you have to know the basics of every culture. For example, most of European countries is a Muslim one, and you have to know what is the terms that you can translate is related to them from English. We have terms that we can't relate it into Arabic or into Arabian culture. So you have to be careful what you translate from and into. It's all about, guys, it's all about research and your information. Trust me, translation is just like a complex industry. It's a very simple, but you have to know how to research or how to get your information correctly. Okay? Do you have any question? Any other question?
Ma'am, is there any difference between literal translation of idiomatic translation, or it's the same?
I didn't catch you. Could just repeat it again?
Is there any difference between literal translation and idiomatic translation, or these two are same?
You mean you need a sentence or the passage to practice?
Uh, Once again, I can't get.
I didn't get you. What's your question?
Literal translation and idiomatic translation. Is there any difference, or the both are same? Idiomatic translation or literal translation?
Okay. Translation as a literally one and medical translation. Difference between them that a literary translation is a type of translation that depends on your imagination. That translate from a book, maybe this book is a novel, into another book, and this is book as a novel also. Maybe the author or the writer describe a situation. Let's talking about a romantic one. This romantic transcend, like this is romantic situation. You have to describe into Arabic, but maybe you can change some things. I just said change, not changing the author writing or the author style. Just to change the things that can be related in Arabic culture or Arabic terms, but didn't change anything from the plot. You didn't have the ability for that. But in a medical translation, as I said before, it's a sensitive one. You have to be careful with your translation or the terms that you can choose. For example, there is a medical website that you can find the researches about the medical fields, the medical terms, and you have to research about this is disease, what it literally or just what it means by a deeper way. So if I know what these diseases mean, I can translate into Arabic or just translate from Arabic into English. Okay, and this answer is related to your
Yes,
question.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm asking about idiomatic translation. It's follow-up of literal translation, or is different from a different translation, or it's same part of its idiomatic translation? Any difference?
Yeah. Idiomatic translation, just maybe you can say it's a sub-branch from literary translation, because it's just also depending on the culture that it translates from into. So idiomatic translation, yes, is a part of literary translation.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome. So anyone else have a question?
Which translation field is offer too much job in all over the world?
Translation like what?
Which translation field? Today we learn different types of translation. Am I right? Okay.
Yeah, this is right.
Which translation field, just like legal or medical or something like, which field is more offer too much job in all over the world?
Okay, nowadays we have different types of like, okay, we have different types of translation as we say today, but every culture or every country, we didn't talk about culture, but every country have a huge number of translation that depends on the country industry. For example, a Chinese country, maybe you're gonna find a lot of translations, technical one, a lot of translators that work with software and a technical field, because Chinese is uh, like a technical industry, the country that have a big market of technical industry. And maybe here in Egypt we have a big market of a literary translation, a medical one. So it's different from country to another one. But let's say like medical translation is a very big market nowadays. So if you just try to choose one that can have a lot of opportunities to work in it, choose a legal one or a medical one, and maybe you can choose interpretation. It's have a big market in every country you can find.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Anyone has another question? If you have a question, just feel free and ask. It's not a big problem.
Ma'am, what about machine translation? Machine translation can handle all type of translation.
Okay, the next lecture we're going to talk about machine translation with more details, because it's a very important field of translation.
Okay.
Okay. Guys, anyone have a question? Simple. Okay, thanks so much, guys, and thanks so much for Gillis for asking question. It's nice to listen for your voice, and I wish that maybe in the next lecture that we can share a question with each other and listen for all of your voice. Thanks so much for your time and for attending my lecture, and thanks so much for Dr. Fasil for giving me this opportunity again. And see you, inshallah, in the next lecture. You're welcome. Anytime.